Cameron Smith has run from dummy half and scores a grand final try.
Welcome to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith on SEN.
Welcome to another episode of the Captain's Run. Make sure to download us on Spotify. We're on Apple. Also, you can call in 1300 01 1170 and you can ask Smithy all of your footballing questions, or you can text us 0457 736 736. Also, download the app. If you're not listening on the app, you can download the app and listen to us live. But, Smithy, mate, how have you been?
Campy, I've been good, mate. Big week. Just come off Magic Round. How good was Magic Round? You're up in Brizzy.
Beautiful, beautiful. I mean, even with the weather.
Weather's shocking.
It was still outstanding.
Yep.
It's still outstanding. It's fast becoming one of my favourite weeks in footy. Not going to lie.
What are your thoughts on having 2 Magic Rounds per season?
So
one in Brizzy has to stay in Brizzy.
Okay.
One that just does not leave Brisbane.
Yep.
Home of rugby league.
Yes. True.
And how about, like, say, bring the second one later in the year, maybe 3/4 of the way through, heading into finals.
Yes.
Maybe to somewhere Sydney, rotated through Sydney, Melbourne, even somewhere like Auckland.
Does it take the magic away?
No.
No,
of course not. Well, you look at it's got a feel of, say, like a nines tournament. Now, I didn't play in a nines tournament. I was around the tournaments, didn't play in it.
Your speed and explosiveness would have been perfect for nines.
Oh, look, I just said, look, it wouldn't be fair on any other player if I went. No, please. Let's just say my game wasn't suited to nines. And I was probably just back at training too. Around the time the nines was on. I'd only been training sort of for a month. Bellyache sort of looked after me in the back half of my career. So I reckon it'd be great. It's got that feel about it. Like, it was so good up in Brisbane across the weekend. I was there for the Friday, Saturday matches. Just to see so many fans out there with all of, like, supporting their team. Yeah. And they were there for every game.
Yeah. And the vibe was very, like, it's kind of like when you go to Origin, it's very tribal, where it's like Queensland, New South Wales, and it's a respectful hate, let's just put it that way, between the two states.
Respectful hate?
Respectful hate. We'll put it that way. Whereas Magic Round's vibe, it's almost like you've got people that would never usually cheer on another side.
Yeah, that's right.
Never are cheering for Tulangi's flick back in, are cheering for Selwyn Cobbo making a break, and they don't even support those two teams.
No, well, they're there standing applauding, and they've got, like, Rabbitohs jerseys on, or St. George or Parramatta or whatever it is. So I think it's great. Like, it's a great concept. It's certainly worked a treat up in Brizzy. Yeah, I just think it we may need to have a look at it.
Mate, I'm telling you, if it didn't take away anything from having it once, having it twice, it almost like balanced the year too. If you went like everything leading up to Magic Round, then Magic Round happens, and then Origin happens, and then that little lull between Origin and finals footy, you throw it in there. I don't mind it, Smithy. I don't mind it.
Next year, right? Dolphins have been guaranteed a spot.
Yes.
Okay, at Magic Round. How do you decide who misses out?
Mate.
Is it who finishes last in the season?
Ooh,
this year?
But they kind of need it. Do you know what I mean? Because they're lower. They need that, I guess, exposure and being there and all that kind of stuff. It's a tough one. Do you just do a random draw? Is that the fairest thing? A random draw?
There's no random draws, mate. There's no random draws.
No, I mean like as in like in FIFA where they like pull out a thing.
Well, if it's done like that.
Yeah, could you do it like that? But yes, there is no random draws. Let's be real here.
Yeah, draw it out of the hat. Every name in the hat's the same. Yeah. That's only ever going to be one team. I mean, they could say, oh, look, we'll just punch it in and, whatever team the computer spits out. Like, they're not going to spit out the Broncos in Brisbane.
Yeah, it's so true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not going to spit out Penrith or Melbourne. Man, so sorry, Storm or Panthers, you're not playing at Magic
Or even
Round,
really any Queensland team. To not have a Queensland team there. So you're looking at...
That's what I'm saying. Wow. To do it, like, the most fair way, I guess, would be to say, listen, if you get the wooden spoon the previous year, you miss out. Then everyone can see and everyone's aware.
Yep, of what by winning the spoon, it's a punishment.
Yeah.
Actually, I like that because it is the fairest way. Now, some people will be like, oh, our squad isn't as good as other squads. Yeah, but that's what we're here for. We're playing footy to win matches.
Yeah, compete.
Like, we're not here to hand out participation.
That's right.
I like it, Smithy. I like it. It's a great way to start off the show, mate.
Just maybe We'll get the listeners' thoughts.
Yep.
Text in.
Yeah, text in. Should there be 2 Magic rounds to really anchor down the year? I'll tell you what isn't a great way to start the show. It's ScoMo's. Did you watch ScoMo's? Look, this is coming from a winger. I can't tackle to save my life. And I've always lived by the philosophy, if you score more tries than you let in, you win the match.
Yes.
But even I think I may have a little bit better technique than that.
Okay.
What did you think of the tackle from ScoMo?
Well, he was playing soccer. He's got his games mixed up.
Mate.
He's playing soccer and then he tried a
He
league
thought he was
tackle.
at Shark Park with
What's
Hines.
going on?
He thought he was outside Hines.
No, just ScoMo, no. Just stay off the sporting
Just
fields.
get on, mate.
All respect.
You got
All
enough
due
of a
respect.
job to do. Tackling people, don't need to do it.
Yeah, respectfully.
Yeah, that's coming from a winger too.
Yeah.
I can't tackle for anything, so
Yeah, but yeah. You're a former soccer player, so you know exactly what he got.
he got a bit too much in his head, and he thought, am I playing footy? Am I at Shark Park? Is Hines outside me? Is the great Dale Finucane inside?
And then he tried the spirit fingers. Like he had it all going, and then just the brain confused the feet, I think, and he just stuck.
Mate, what about
how many times have we seen politicians just get it wrong?
It
on the
never
sporting
works
field?
out.
Remember Johnny Howard trying to bowl that ball?
Mate,
He's trying to play cricket, and he bowled the ball, and it just went all wrong.
Mate, what I'm thinking is like, who is advising these people to go, you know what, it's a good idea?
No.
Or do they sit there and go, like, it humanises them or something?
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
Maybe.
What else did you get up to this week? We obviously had some extremely sad news.
Yes,
Symonds
Andrew
passing
Symonds.
away.
Yeah, really sad, mate. I remember waking up in the morning and seeing the breaking news. Sunday morning it was, and just tragic, mate. He was again like how. I feel so sorry for the Australian cricket family, all the players and all the staff involved, and all the families, losing so many great people of Australian cricket over the last 12 months. Like it was Dean Jones first, Rod Marsh, Shane Warne, and now Andrew Symonds. Yeah, just unbelievable how that's happened. Like the events, the sequence of events over the last sort of little bit, and another guy who in sort of my teenage years, as I really enjoy the game of cricket. I never played it at any type of level, but just a guy that I really loved watching. Yeah. Through the summer months. Just when school wasn't on, when there was no footy on, watching him go about his business, because he had a bit of flair, didn't he? Like the way he played, and he loved his league. He loved the Broncos.
He actually come down to some of our training sessions.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. And
so you had some interactions with him?
Yeah, a little bit. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, but no, I had a little bit. He would come down to the sessions, and for me personally, like, you see a guy as great as him come down. At first, you're a little bit standoffish, and you're like, oh my God, like Andrew Symonds, holy moly. But you get 20 minutes in, and he's running around with us, and before you know it, he was just one of the boys. Yeah. Like, that's how much he really fit in. Yep. I swear in another life he would have been a leaguey. Like, I swear in another.
So you reckon, do you reckon he could have, played league?
I just know personality-wise, the small interactions that I had with him within the environment, he just fit in with us boys. And league boys are it's a different kind of culture. And mate, he just fit in. He just fit in. Like, he was one of the boys in the small time I had with him. He's a really good guy.
What about his ability, though? Like, do you reckon, I know it's a big step up. Yeah. Like, he's an elite cricketer, and he's coming over to, the elite sort of section of rugby league players in the world with the Broncos. But if he had some time, like through junior footy, through Reggie stuff, like, could you see some skills that he could?
I think so. Like, you look at his frame, you look at his
big man.
His ability to move. I'm sure with enough, training from a young age. Why couldn't he? If he was that good at cricket, his frame is all there. He's 6'3", 6 foot, maybe 6'2", 6'3". Yep. Put a bit of muscle on him. Like, why not? Why not?
Well, I think from those that very famous shoulder charge he put on the
beautiful
put on the striker at the Gabba.
Mate, that was so good. That will go down in just history as one of the great shoulder charges.
Oh, what a man! So our condolences definitely they go out to the entire Symonds family.
Absolutely,
just tragic news, and the North Queensland community really.
Absolutely,
he's a big part of the North Queensland community up there. So sad news.
Sad news. Now on to some rugby league news. Trent Barrett. Now he has, the official report is he has quit the Bulldogs. Now, you could argue that there was a bit of pressure from up top to make that decision.
Yep.
But it I mean, I understand he was under pressure, but for me, Smithy, it did still kind of come out of nowhere for me. I didn't really feel like there was that much pressure.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I would say there has been way more pressure to get rid of Michael Maguire over the last 12 months than Trent Barrett. In my opinion, I don't know if this needed to happen now.
Yeah, well, in the first 6 weeks of the comp, all the talk about if there was any coach going to be sacked, it was going to be Michael Maguire. And they end up jagging 2 wins in a row, and now there's very little heat on Michael Maguire.
Yeah.
There's been very little talk about his job,
And they've lost 3 in a row.
his security of his job. So yeah, look, there's been rumblings about the Bulldogs, and the coach, his position that he held wasn't working, but. Oh, geez, I don't know. The only people that know is front office of the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
So you hear all different stories. Was he pushed? Did he make the decision himself? Well, only the Bulldogs know that, and the people within the office space know that. But there's pressure. There's always pressure. There's pressure from all over. From sponsors. From obviously commercial department, from the bosses up top. From the media, from the public. It's a really unfortunate situation that's happened there. And whatever decision's been made, it's been made for certain reasons. For me, I just think that now, the players, no matter what's happened, the players just need to get on with their job. Okay? They are professionals. They are paid professionals to go out there and play the best they can on the weekend.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who's the coach.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who's in charge. It doesn't matter what's happened. Put your heads down, get out there and play the best you can on the weekend. If I'm Josh Jackson, if I'm the captain of that club and if I'm a part of that leadership group, now I know, I was very fortunate, along with all of my teammates at the Melbourne Storm, that we never had to go through any situation like this.
Yeah.
Craig Bellamy's been the coach of the Melbourne Storm for 20 years.
Yeah, wow.
Okay, so there's never been a time where his position has been questioned at the Storm. Whether his position was in jeopardy, that he was going to get sacked or anything like that. Okay, but I'm just thinking, if I'm in their position, it's not an ideal situation at all, and particularly with a lot of the speculation about what's happened and all the talk about where they are at the moment and the standards at the club and blah, blah, blah. I'd just be focusing on this weekend and going out and playing the very best I can.
Yeah.
I'd be thinking, let's go out there and just play the best game of our season so far.
Yeah. I mean, it really is, as a player, all you can control.
Yeah.
I guess the tough thing is I totally understand the argument that it's very hard to mount a defence for Barrett when you look at the results.
Yes.
You look at the fact that he lost 5. I mean, he's only won 5, I think, out of 33.
Yep.
Then you look at Manly, and yes, he did struggle at Manly. So I understand it's very hard to mount a defence. I was just hoping, for Barrett's sake, I guess, that he would at least get a chance with Reid Marnie and Kick-Out next year. I just thought that that would be the real
that's fair
litmus
enough.
test of what could he do with a squad that he'd assembled, a squad that he'd put together. But I understand the other side of the argument of maybe they feel that they can't not waste another year, but spend another year seeing if it's going to work. They need it to work.
Yeah.
So I honestly, I know it's fence sitting, but I don't know what the right call was with that. I really don't.
So then, okay, so if you think about, let's go down that path. So there's an interim coach now, Mick Potter, has been brought in. Will he see out this year, or will they try and look for someone?
He'll see out this year. That's what he's till the end of 2022.
Okay. So in that time, they'll look to sign someone for next year as the head coach moving forward.
I'd assume so.
So if that new coach that gets appointed as the head role at the Bulldogs, and he's got this new lineup of Kick-Out and Reid Marnie, as you mentioned, 2 very good players, quality players. If he doesn't get results, if that person doesn't get results, does he then get sacked?
Yeah.
At the midway point or at any stage throughout the 2023 season, because he's not getting results.
Yeah.
And on paper, you would think that's a stronger lineup with those 2 players.
Oh, absolutely.
So, where does the cycle end?
Yeah, it's true.
And also, Kempy, it's a bit like the player pool. If you keep on sacking coaches, who's going to replace them?
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a smaller pool of coaches. There's
what
a
I mean.
smaller pool of coaches. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I really, the tough thing taking that job now is like job security. You know, if I don't go well off the bat, do I get the sack? Now, speaking of coaches, who would you target right now that's on the market?
Oh, wow. That's a difficult one. Well, so what about some of the names that have been tossed up? So it's Freddie.
Which is crazy. I don't know why you would take that. You got the
I think he said as much.
Oh, man.
I think he said as much. I think he said, "No, look, I've got a couple of jobs at the moment. Royce's Walk, and then the Origin.
Yeah,
and that's all."
And he does the motorbike ride throughout the year and everything.
The Hogs ride, yep.
Yeah, which is so good.
So I think I don't think it's going to be Freddie.
Yeah,
and to be honest, I think after he had his experiences in the NRL, and I think he's thought to himself, look, I'm done with that for a while.
Yes.
Well, then you got Shane Flanagan, former Sharks coach.
Do you think having Kyle Flanagan there helps or hurts Shane?
I think that'll be given where the Dogs are at right now. I think that'll be a very difficult situation.
Huge, very difficult situation.
And you look at something like the setup that Ivan and Nathan have, completely different.
Yeah, and they were under the pump that first year too.
Yeah, and they are now the best team in the competition, reigning premiers. So there's less pressure on them, to go out there and perform each week. Unlike, say, a Shane Flanagan and a Kyle Flanagan, particularly at right now where there's still question marks over Kyle Flanagan and his position in the team. So that would be. Yeah, for me, that would be a very difficult thing to maintain. But, at the end of the day, it's up to Shane Flanagan and the Bulldogs. Like, firstly, he needs to be offered the job.
Yeah.
And then if he feels comfortable to do it, like, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. It doesn't matter what you and I think or anyone else. If he feels he can take on the job with his son involved at the club as a first-grade player, then he'll take it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks other than him.
Yeah.
If he thinks he can get his job done the best he can with his son playing there at the moment in the current situation that the Bulldogs find themselves in, then that's all that matters.
Yep, absolutely. What about a guy like Paul Green?
Look, I dare say he'd be looking for another stint in the NRL. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And he's proven he's a premiership coach. He's won a premiership at the Cowboys. Then you got another guy like Jason Riles, but I think he's got another year at the Roosters.
Yep.
So he's got this year and next year. I know he's been biding his time as an assistant coach, has been for quite some years now. I don't think he's in any rush. Like he's not throwing his hand up right now to be a first grade coach, but I know it's on the radar.
Yeah. Yeah.
But maybe he's waiting for Craig Bellamy to finish.
Yeah,
in
good
Melbourne.
Point. Really good point.
So there's a few candidates out there, but it's just, I don't know. What's right for the Bulldogs right now? If there's someone there that's actually been involved in that club and understands what the Bulldogs are about, maybe that might be the best option they need to go for.
Yeah, maybe it's similar to the Broncos situation. You get a guy like Kevy in, a legend of the club, put great people around him. But we're going to head to a break and we'll continue talking about all the latest footy news, including getting to your texts. Plus, Bellamy extends. Make sure to call in 1300 01 1170 0457 736 736. Text in, and we'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Smithy, we have some texts, and I've got one just for you, mate.
Yes.
Just for you.
Okay.
What it says.
Yep.
Hey, Smithy and the GOAT. I just want to give the greatest Silverado driver in the state, Cameron Smith, a shout out for not running myself and my old boy over Saturday night, even though we ran out in front of him and the great JT on Caxton Street. After what they are saying was one of the greatest floggings Storm has ever received by the hands of the mighty Mountain Men.
Oh, what?
Wow.
That's obviously a Penrith supporter. No, I actually remember that. We were leaving the game, JT and I.
Yes.
He's a bit of a tight man, JT. Instead of jumping in an Uber or a cab back to his hotel, I was going home to the Gold Coast, but he said, mate, can you drop me at the hotel?
Oh, he's good.
It's in the other direction.
Yeah, I got an hour to drive. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, so, okay, righto, let's go. Anyway, we hook around from Suncorp. Let's go up through Caxton Street and blah, blah, blah. There's thousands of people are out celebrating and whatnot. And, this guy, he ran across, I remember this, he ran across the road. no pedestrian crossing. So
that's how they do it out at Penrith.
Crossing.
That's how they do it at Penrith. They're wild out there. They run around everywhere. We don't know what's going on out there.
Anyway, no. Luckily, we were driving very slow, just taking in the sights of Caxton Street post a big game, and just. The gentleman and his dad ran across in front of us and give him a wave. So, thank you, mate. I appreciate that.
If you had known he was a Penrith supporter, do you think you would have just given a little tap?
Just a little, maybe a little honk of the horn. But no, he's lucky. The big Silverado travelling up Caxton Street.
It's a beast. I've been in that thing. It's a beast. Can't drive that down in Sydney. Now... lucky you've got a Ferrari down here, Smithy. Anyway, we've got a call. We've got a call here from Josh from Ipswich. You there, Josh?
Yeah, boys. How we doing?
How are you, Josh?
Yeah, good, mate. I've got an odd one here. As a Knights fan, the chances of luring Cooper Johns away from the Storm to solve our half issue, as he's going to struggle to get a spot in Melbourne, a starting side, we could use someone like that in Newey.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. It's look, if Jerome Hughes is fit, then no doubt he's going to get the 7 jersey every day of the week. Cooper still being a young man, he's still learning his trade. But I've actually heard his father Matt speak about this, and he's been posed this question before about Cooper possibly moving. Changing clubs. But his comment was that, I think he needs to just be patient. He just needs to stay down there. He's got the best coach in the competition right now, help developing his game. And so, there's no rush for him to move and try and just jag a first grade spot. He's still, as I said, what is he, 22 this year, I think, Cooper Johns, young. Something like that, so he's still got a lot of time to learn his trade and to make himself make himself a consistent first grader. But good question.
Yeah, really good question. I think it's one of those really tough ones where it's beautiful on paper and it sounds great, it's romantic and that. But at the same time, the pressure of having a John's name in a Newcastle jersey, that'd be a tough gig. But I tell you what. If there's one man with the DNA to get that club back to where they need to be, it's the Johns DNA. Yeah. Thanks for your call, Josh.
Good one, Joshy.
Cheers, boys.
Now, we've got another call. We've got Sonny from Macquarie Park. You there, Sonny?
Yeah, Beak, how are you?
Mate, I'm great. Thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. Look, this is a question probably for both of you. Look, I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on the team scoring to try to kick off instead of receiving. My thoughts are that it minimises teams rolling on momentum and potentially there'll be less blowouts. Yeah,
this is something we actually spoke about, I think, last year, where because the scores were such blowouts and we were seeing this momentum where when you lost momentum, you just couldn't get it back. I do think the new rule changes has helped that quite a bit. I think the game has slowed down a touch. I know that, the powers that be don't think it has, but I think if watching the game, you can see that it does. The ruck speed is a little bit slower.
Are you talking about now penalties? Blowing inside 40?
Inside the 40. Rather than just
set
restart. Plus, on top of that, I do think teams are lying on a little bit longer than they were probably, 12 to 14 months ago. But in saying that, someone brought up a good point of then are you punishing teams for scoring? Is that really fair? I'm not sure where I stand on that. What do you think, Smithy?
Yeah, look, I think I guess in theory it sounds good. So if you score points, and this actually happened in the Super League, I believe, that when you scored a try that you went back and then you kicked off. So yeah, look, I think it's a huge change for our game. Like that's been the rules now for 120 years of rugby leagues. But I'm happy with the way it is right now.
I think we've got a good balance right now. I really do. I think we've got a good balance between fast footy and entertaining footy, but also what makes footy so great, and it's a grind. We love the grind in the defence. But thanks for your call, Sonny. Really appreciate it, mate.
Good on you, Sonny.
Yeah, cheers, fellas. Have a good one.
Now, I've got an announcement. SEN League on Instagram. Make sure to give them a follow on Instagram and Facebook. It is. We've just essentially launched it. It's at SEN League, and it's where you can get all your good footy coverage. And basically now when you want to see clips from the show or quotes from the show, you can go to at SEN League on Instagram and Facebook. It's a great place to get your footy news. And obviously, myself and Smithy will be on it. You've got Morning Glory with Matty Johns. You've got Brandy. You've got Vossi. I mean,
yep.
Tell them that's a great good lineup for the SEN crew. But we're going to head to a break. Make sure to call in 1300 01 1170 or text us 0457 736 736. And make sure to follow at SEN League on Instagram and Facebook to stay up to date with all your SEN news. After the break, we are going to get to the latest news. And also, after that, we're going to have the best hand segment. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Make sure to give SEN League a follow on Instagram and Facebook. But we got a text here, Smithy. A text here. It's quite long, but I'll read it out to the punters and the dribblers. If you were Origin selectors, how do you weigh up current club form versus what some have already proven in the Origin arena? I want your take on selection. A name I can think of is Daniel Saifidi. He doesn't get the media attention or the glamorous statistics like a lot of New South Wales forwards, and Knights are in the bottom three. However, I wouldn't argue with anyone who says he's been the best forward for the Blues over the last few years. Do you pick him? Thanks, fellas. Look forward to hearing your answers, Matt.
Yeah, look, I lean towards what that particular player has done previously for that Origin jersey. I really do. And you talk about incumbency and the trust that he's built within that team. No matter how his team's travelling, importantly, he needs to be in some sort of form coming into the sort of Origin period. But if you look at, it's funny, it's a great question because I was talking with Jonathan Thurston about this last week, and he spoke about how, there was a couple of seasons there when he was a part of the Cowboys where they were struggling. They were hardly winning a game of football. Yeah. And even himself felt like his form wasn't great or to the standard that he expected and others expected of him. But he spoke about how as soon as he entered State of Origin camp, he just felt good. And the pressure that he was feeling to produce a win at the Cowboys, that was gone. Yeah, the weight was off his shoulders when he arrived in camp, and that's where he rediscovered his best football because he was in that environment where it was fun. He was enjoying himself being around the other players, and in actual fact, it helped him go back to Townsville, and then play his best football, and then in turn that helped his club team, it is actually really interesting to a much lesser degree, but there's some players that they go back to reserve grade and they play very average, very average, and then they come to first grade, and for some reason in a certain system or the players around them, it releases them to be a better player. And I just echoing your sentiments. Sometimes players, they may not be going great in the environment that they're currently in, but you take them out of that environment and you put them into an Origin one. So I understand people's misgivings where Saifidi, he probably hasn't had the best year so far this year, but I believe not only is it about what has he done before in Origin, I also believe culturally, if you're just dropping blokes left, right, and centre because they don't play that well that year. It's not a great look.
It doesn't really send a good message to the rest of the team.
No.
Because we're trying to play for something bigger than, just form or, a couple of good games here or there. We're trying to have players that represent something deeper than just footy.
And it's what, New South Wales in particular, given the situation of that sort of, 8 to 10 year period that Queensland had.
Yeah.
When we were winning a lot of series through that time, they were chopping and changing left, right, and centre. So, it was a really, I would imagine, it would have been a very difficult sort of situation for those players in that team to build combinations, to build trust within each other, because from game to game, not just series to series, from game to game, there was different players coming in, playing in particularly crucial positions like halfback or 5'8" or fullback or whatever it was. So I like the pick and stick theory. As long as they are performing when they come into camp.
Yeah.
You can't just say, oh, look, you've done it before, come in, and they have an absolute bludger of a game or a series. They need to perform when they're in there. You give them you give that player an opportunity to come in and perform the way that they have previously. And if they do that, then they stay.
Yeah.
If they don't, then they're put on notice.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, thanks for that text, mate. Great text. But we got Bailey Ladders. Time to break down which young players are climbing up the ladders, worksite trusted for over 60 years. Now, Bailey Ladders, worksite trusted for 60 years. To do that in a worksite, I'm telling you guys, the standard you have to meet, and also it's constantly reviewed. It's not like, they got their ticket 60 years ago. Yearly, it's reviewed. So high quality from Bailey Ladders. What do you got, Smithy? What do you got?
Yep, 3 nominations this week. Number 1, Jaden Campbell. How good was he?
Yeah.
He's almost the player of the Magic Round, really.
Yeah.
I think he was. I really think he was. In his first game back.
13 tackle breaks.
First game back in first grade for 7 weeks, 13 tackle breaks, 266 run meters with 1 line break. I was actually lucky enough to see him live.
Yeah.
I seen him live.
It's a different experience live.
Oh, wow. Just the way he returned the football and just attacked the game, just incredible. And a big reason why they were able to get a victory, albeit being in Golden Point. But, I think some comments made by AJ Brimson to the coach that was we were all heard of after the game. Justin Holbrook said that AJ Brimson's just been hammering hammering him over the last couple of weeks, saying, mate, bring him back. I want him back.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
get him back.
It's good to hear from, like your players back you like that.
Yeah. So he just, and that'd give, Jaden Campbell a lot of confidence knowing that his teammates, really want him back in there. But great to see him back in first grade. Zac Woolford, playing off the bench, playing at 9. It was his debut, actually. He played 40 minutes, had a line break, really important line break, actually. He got off a quick play of the ball, darted out of dummy half, made a line break, drew the fullback and put I forget who scored the try, but I think it was Brad Schneider. Was it Brad Schneider?
Yeah, it was
playing
Schneider.
Halfback, put him
Schneider.
over. Very important part of the game there. 2 try assists, made 20 tackles in 40 minutes. So Zac Woolford, great game. But the third one, what about this man? Murray Tuolangi.
Mate.
Okay, 23. He had 2 tries. I'll get to that next stat at the last bit. 2 line breaks, ran for over 150 metres, but the try assist.
I've never seen anything like it.
The try assist.
Oh, my God.
Kempy?
Mate.
What's going on?
How?
I don't know.
Like how? I don't get
Did he know he was there, or was it just a Hail Mary?
Oh,
bit of both?
Bit of both, I reckon. Just magic. You know what? Magic round. Magic.
Magic round, magic
Literally,
happens.
we saw a magic trick.
He was midair, centimetres from the ground, and just tossed one over the shoulder, and who else was going to be there but Scotty Drinkwater?
Mate, it was a great tackle from Hastings. You're thinking, what a great cover tackle from Hastings. He's fully wrapped the ball up, or almost wrapped the ball up pretty much. And then Tuolangi, I don't know. Also, where did he get the strength to do that? You know what I mean? To actually get the purchase to be able to flick it over it was incredible. Incredible.
Do you reckon when Jackson Hastings made that tackle and then the roar went up, do you reckon they think, mate, that's a great tackle?
Yeah.
I've just put him in the touch. They're all applauding me.
What a try saver. What a try saver.
Then he's looked up and the referee's pointing at the spot, blowing his whistle. He's
going,
what?
What? You're kidding.
Yeah.
Where's me help?
But
mate,
they're
incredible.
the 3.
That was thanks to Bailey Ladders bringing safety and efficiency to the worksite for over 60 years. Now, we've got a call here. Jeremy from Wollongong. Jeremy, you there, mate?
G'day, boys. How are we?
Good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, pretty good. Your question for you, Smitty. If you look at the top teams in the competition, they all sort of seem to have quick dummy halves, quick off the mark, whereas the teams down the bottom sort of lack that. I'm a Dragons fan. I think that's something we really lack. I think we'd be a different team if we had a quick dummy half. It'd unlock, Sully and Lomax.
Yep.
So my question is, if a team is to win a premiership, how important do you think it is to have a dummy half that's got speed off the mark?
Yeah, look, it's a difficult way. It all depends, Jeremy, I reckon, on the style of play that your team has and the game plan that they build around your 9. Use myself as an example. I was never ever the fastest dummy half, but as long if you lack speed, you need to have something else to offer the footy side, whether it be a kicking game or just some more. You got to play with more subtlety and tempo out of dummy half. So you're trying to manipulate, particularly the markers or other defenders, to help try and promote your ball runners in and around the ruck, or even trying to just create space for your halves. So if you have a dummy half that lacks a bit of pace, like you mentioned, like a Damien Cook, an Appy Coruscant, even like a guy like Harry Grant. Harry Grant's got some pretty good speed. He's not the fastest dummy half, but he's okay out of there. If you don't have that sort of pace out of dummy half, then they need to have, other weapons that they're bringing to the game. But certainly I wouldn't say that if you don't have, a lightning quick number 9 in your side that you're no chance of winning a premiership.
I think look, I've played a bit of dummy half my time. My opinion on this, it's really important. But I do think, just to echo Smithy's sentiments, I think, let's say the dummy half isn't the most explosive, then it's very important that your forwards are up on the advantage line and in tight around that dummy half. When you're doing sets that you're trying to get on the advantage line, to make up for the dummy half not having the most speed, you use your forwards who are running onto the ball, at speed over the advantage line. Yep. And it actually can be more effective, because if the dummy half is getting out scheming and holding that marker, and that those forwards are on the advantage line, they're getting in behind the A marker. So there are ways around, where Damien Cook has to sprint out a dummy half and hopefully beat that marker. Instead, say Smithy, he's actually holding that marker up and the forward is hitting him behind the marker. So it just needs your forwards to be always on the advantage line and in tight around the ruck, rather than being 10 metres away and too far away to take advantage.
Yeah, and if you look at, Jeremy, let's just say we go back past the last, 5 premiers, okay? So let's go Cronulla 16, Storm 17, Roosters 18, 19, Storm in 20. So the dummy halves in those matches were Michael Innes, myself, Jake Friend, myself.
Yeah.
You wouldn't really consider those 3 players as some of the quickest dummy halves that have played.
I reckon you got them, Smithy. I reckon you got those boys. I reckon you got them over 10.
You reckon?
Yeah, you got
that's
them
all
over
that
10,
matters.
Mate. Yeah, the 10 metres.
From number 9, that's all that matters. If you're quick off the mark, that's all that matters. That's what I used to push to Craig Bellamy anyway. When he used to say to me, mate, you need to get faster. I said, mate, all that matters is the first couple of metres.
Absolutely.
Good question though, Jeremy.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thanks, boys. See ya.
Thanks for that call, Jeremy. It's a good question, though, because you could argue that, the game is changing and the speed is increasing. So, speed can't hurt. It can't hurt.
No.
Mate, we are going to go to a break. We're going to continue getting to your message. We're going to continue getting to your calls. But make sure to follow at SEN League or call 1300 01 1170 to chat to us, or text 0457 736 736, and we'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. Best hands in the business by Schnitties. They are arriving later today, and I tell you what, we almost cancelled the show when I heard they were arriving so that we get it done quicker. That's how much I want Schnitties.
Yep. No, we weren't. We weren't going to.
Look, I thought about it. I didn't say it out loud, but I thought about it.
Okay. All right.
I'm joking. We would never leave you, beautiful people. We would never do that. But that's what Schnitties do to you. They make you say crazy things.
Crazy things. Think crazy things.
Mate,
say crazy things.
The Schnitties best hands. What do we got this week?
We have got some really good nominations this week. 1 point goes to, this is hard to say, hard to watch actually, Kempy, but it was Viliami Kikau when he went up for that high ball. I don't know how he did this. He is a big man. He's 6'2", 6'3", 115 kilos, thereabouts. I don't know. Is he
maybe
plus,
even bigger? Maybe
minus?
120.
I don't know.
Big boy.
I'm looking after him maybe. But he went up and what impressed me the most was that he's a back rower, and everyone knows Viliami Kikau. He is a great ball runner. We know him as a guy that damaging runner of the footy, runs over people, gets quick play the balls and whatnot. But for him to get up and be able to position his body the way he did against the Melbourne Storm defenders or guys going up for that ball, and just how he went up, used his body just to push. I forget it might have been Marion Seve who was going up for the ball. Just pushed him off the ball and took it 2 hands in the air.
Crazy. And
to score a try.
That's outside back stuff.
In those conditions. But back rowers are practicing that.
Yeah.
You see now halves dinking the ball in for the back rowers. There's a lot of tall back rowers in our game right now. So
look how good Nanai's doing.
That's right. Well, he's another man. He's scoring, Nanai's scoring tries off kicks every week at the moment. But 1 point to Kikau. 2 points. This could, if the person that got 3 points this week off me didn't do what he did, this man would have got the 3 points.
Oh.
But Joseph Sawali, similar thing to Kickow, but Sawali was up in the airspace.
Mate. You know what it remind me of? Israel Folau in Origin, to a degree.
Oh, wow.
Remember that try Izzy scored in Origin? I mean, you wouldn't remember it.
Yeah, he sat on one of our teammates' head, Anthony Quinn.
So you give it to him. Oh,
he got up and sat on Quinny's shoulders for like a minute at ANZ and just and come down
were you on
actually,
the field when that happened?
Yeah, of course I was.
Were you just going, what just happened?
Yeah, I was, and I was just going, mate, this is unbelievable. Or actually, you know what? I wasn't. It was a crazy try, but I wasn't shocked because I see that every week, every day with Izzy, down in Melbourne training. Yeah. But it was a bit like that. But he was Joseph Sawali, like he was up way above his opposite defender's shoulders.
Mm.
He was up in the airspace for a long time, and just it was crazy. So confident, these young fellas now.
They reckon that's why my flight was 30 minutes late.
Oh, really?
Because Sawali was up there.
Got delayed.
They said, hey, is there another plane up here that has no radar?
The tower at Brizzy Airport said, mate, get out of the airspace. We need you down, mate. We got a plane to get back to Sydney. 2 points, but 3 points, and we mentioned this just before. The rookies climbing up the Bailey's ladder. Oh. Murray Tuolangi, and he's, nothing short of miraculous.
Wow.
Magic flick pass back to Scotty Drinkwater. For the first try of the Tigers. And that really that set them on their way, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It sparked that kind of energy when you see something like that.
Yep.
And I tell you what, for us to give it twice, Tuolangi points in two different segments, never been done before. That's how good it was.
There you go.
That was best thanks to best hands, thanks to schnitz. Bite into golden, delicious, handcrafted schnitz. After the break, we'll wrap up the first hour. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Make sure to follow at SEN League on Instagram and Facebook. Also, you can download the show on Apple and Spotify. Go to Apple, Spotify, write in the Captain's Run. It'll come up. You can watch it anytime. Listen to it anytime. We got some text here, Smithy.
What do we got, mate?
We got, you know what? I'm going to leave that one because that's a deep question. It's about Reece Walsh at fullback.
Okay. We've had 1,000 text messages so far.
Okay. Great Beak and Smithy. Do you have an opinion, Zac Woolford as an NRL 9? Also notice Adam Mogg is quite critical of a lot of coaches. Is he angling to be the Dolphins coach eventually?
He's a former Dolphins player.
Yeah, former Dolphins. And I think he's a coach as well there. But yeah, Zac Woolford, what were your thoughts on his debut?
Yeah, no, very good. I thought he was very good, applied himself well. Only got the 40 minutes opportunity, but look, he's got great pedigree, of course.
Yep.
And great first stint.
Absolutely.
But he's just got to get some more opportunity, that's all.
Absolutely. Make sure to call in 1300 01 1170 or text 0457 736 736 and we'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run. An hour done and dusted. We got another couple to go. Cannot wait to get into it. But I want to get straight into it, Smithy, because I am super, super excited. We have the Newey Knights versus the Brisbane Broncos. Now, the Brizzy Broncos, they're flying high right now. Did you think the Brizzy Broncos would look this good so soon?
No, I didn't. And particularly with the run that they've put together, I knew they were going to improve. I was hopeful that they were going to improve off last year, given that they acquired Adam Reynolds and Kirk Capewell in particular. Ryan James, of course, has joined their squad and has made a huge difference, as Kevy Walters has alluded to a few times this year already. But I didn't see this coming where they've now won 4 in a row. That's the first time they've done that in some time. I think it might have been 2016 or 17.
Yeah, I think 17.
In and around those seasons. So it has been quite some time since they've been able to put together consecutive victories like they have. And they're every opportunity with their matchups over the next couple of weeks. They could finish with possibly 6 or 7 in a row if they continue the form that they've showed over the past month.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's I thought that they'd fight around the 10 to 8 mark, maybe even 10 to 8 to 12, like is 12 being the absolute worst.
Yep.
But the really great thing for the Broncos right now is the opportunity to jag some wins over the next month could set them up to lock them into the 8.
Yeah.
And for them to lock into the 8, that's such a successful season in my opinion.
Well, it's a really important fortnight for the Broncos, given Origin is just around the corner. And I'd suggest that there may be a few Broncos players, well, they're certainly on the radar, for Origin.
Yeah.
Kirk Capo will be there.
Yep.
He's been there the last couple of years, so he'll be picked. But with the form that they're showing right now, guys like Selwyn Cobbo, Patrick Carrigan, even Thomas Flegler, like they're all playing extremely good footy at the moment.
Yep.
So their performances and their form are just screaming at the Queensland selectors.
Yeah, exactly. That youthful
To say,
exuberance.
pick me.
Yep. And I mean, coming into a team that I wouldn't say that the Queensland team's settled per se,
No,
really.
no,
We really haven't started building anything yet because it's just been a couple of years where we've been chopping and changing outside of your Munsters and your DCEs, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But yeah, the Broncos are just playing so well. Now, on the other end of the Newey Knights, they got the win on the weekend, which is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see them, bouncing back this week against a good Broncos side?
Yeah, look, it's going to be tough because, as we mentioned, the Broncos they're in pretty good form at the moment. They're all up and about and confident. I'd like to think that Newey are going to be stronger again this week. They return home, playing tonight, of course, at up in Newcastle. Frizzell's back. Milford.
The
Milf is back
against his old side.
What better chance to come back into the NRL than against your old footy side and go out and have an absolute blinder. So I think, particularly with Frizzell coming back, playing on an edge, it's going to boost their side immensely. Clifford and Gagai, they've been named on the reserves like an extended bench, but I don't think they'll be playing. And I think this will help those two players. I really think it'll help release Kalen Ponga.
Yeah.
Just take a little bit more pressure off him, and particularly Milford being there. Just allow Ponga to maybe just roam a little bit more than what he has been in the past month.
This just in, actually. I think Dane Gagai's been put in the centres.
He has been named.
Yeah, well,
okay.
I mean, the team lists on NRL.com have Gagai in the 20 jersey, but in the starting lineup.
He's been named
centres.
in the starting lineup.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's what they got there.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
On the captain's run.
Huge in.
Oh, huge. But leading up to his injury, people were talking about him as the form centre of the competition.
Mm-hmm.
I know we've seen a couple of breakout games from some centres across the competition in Talakai and Katoni Staggs over the past fortnight, but up to the first 6 weeks, Gagai was the best centre in the comp.
And I think that it wasn't even, his form was fantastic, but it was his attitude that they missed.
Yeah.
It was his ripping and tearing for every single play, bringing that energy that they just seem to miss without him there. I think he's a huge in. I think the Newey Knights, it's almost the perfect game. The Broncos aren't necessarily the Panthers,
no,
but they are on a run. So if you do get that scalp at home, all of a sudden you turn around and go, boys, the troops are back. We've got 2 wins on the trot. We can turn this season around from a disaster into, because the positive thing with teams like the Knights and that, although it's been a tough start to the year, that around that 8 mark, there's still enough games to fight your way back to it.
So many games.
So there is a big opportunity. I think the Broncos will be too much, but the Newey Knights.
Oh, this is going to be it'll be a difficult one for them. There's no doubt, just because of the form that Broncos take into this match. For Newcastle, the one thing where they need to be good is their start tonight.
Oh, yeah.
They just need to start extremely. You need to start every game well, and that's the aim. But if they want to beat the Broncos, that's one area that the Broncos have been quite good at over the games that they've played well over the last month, and all their wins is they've taken high energy into the first 20 minutes of all the games that they've played.
Yeah.
In attack and defence. Like they've got good line speed. They're aggressive with their contact. So they need Newcastle. They cannot afford to get caught in the blocks and just sort of approach the game like, what Broncos team has turned up tonight. Don't worry about the Broncos.
Yeah.
Just know that you need to start as best you can in the first 20.
Absolutely. It's going to be a cracking game. Cannot wait. Now on to the Tigers v Canterbury Bulldogs. 6 p.m. Friday night at the Great Leichhardt Oval. Naden's been named on the extended squad after a mid-season release from the Doggies. Madden is the new 5'8" Arthur Brooks sideline with a hamstring injury. Manu Brown, Apologies if I got
Yep.
that wrong. He will make his club debut from the bench in his first NRL game since 2019.
Wow.
And I follow Brown on Instagram, and watching his journey has been absolutely incredible. To come all the way, I think he was injured, and then I don't think he was going to play any footy. Then he went to the Super League.
Yep.
For him to come back and do what he did, massive congratulations to Brown. Canterbury Bulldogs. It has been a week from hell from them. The Tigers they've come in pretty big favourites at the moment.
Yep.
They're paying $1.60. Who do you see winning this game?
Well, you'd suggest it'd be the Tigers win this after the week that the Bulldogs have had. But I'll tell you, it's pretty ironic how teams bounce back from like coach sackings and how well they play. Unfortunately, for the coach that has just been sacked. But ironically, and it's not just in league, but you see in most sports when there's a coach that has been asked to leave the club or has left the club in under whatever circumstance it is in, that team then goes out and has a really strong performance and wins the next game.
Yeah.
It's really, really ironic how many times that happens.
And it's it sucks because
it's a shame.
Yeah, exactly.
For the
Because
coach.
it says this is how we can perform, and we just needed a big thing to happen to get it out of us.
And we haven't done it while you've been in charge.
But you're right, though. Like, I mean, if they needed any more motivation to get up for this game. And the interesting thing about the Dogs is, and we speak about it every week on the podcast, but they start really well every single game.
Doggies do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have.
They dominated the Knights for the first half.
It's been the strength of their football the entire 2022 season.
Yeah.
And I spoke to Trent Barrett about this in their match. They played against the Rabbitohs out at Homebush. And he said, that's been the most pleasing part of their game all year is their starts and their defence, like the way that their attitude towards their defence. For a period of the first part of this year, they were like in the top three, like ranked in the top three defensive sides in the competition as far as line breaks and points conceded. And they were running in the bottom four. You know what I mean? So it was a bit of a contradiction of sorts.
Yeah.
But that is one area of their game that they actually have found some consistency. They just haven't been able to finish games off.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's going to be a cracking game. The Tigers, on the other hand, yes, I understand they've lost 3 in a row, but they look like a completely different side. The way it does suck, and you obviously want to get the win. But I still am happy with the way the Tigers have been playing. I really am. I know it sounds crazy. They've lost in a row. But they just look like a better side. Hastings, he just brings so much energy to them.
Yeah, I think that there's more effort and they're competing.
Yes.
For longer periods.
Absolutely.
Which you need to do in this game, in this sport. For the Doggies, I mentioned this earlier in the show, if you're particularly one of the senior players in that side, you're willing your team out to do as best you can in this game. Like you need to go out and just perform.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's as simple as that. Don't worry about anything else other than getting out and doing your job the best you can.
Yeah, it's actually one thing that Brent Tate, that I remember him saying when I went to Warriors, and everything was going on, and he always used to just say, mate, control what you can control.
Yeah.
Because there's no point thinking about anything out of your control. No. All you can control is how hard you train and how hard you play. If you're not playing good for a couple of weeks, eventually, it'll turn.
He's a wise man.
He's a wise man. He's a grumpy man, but he's a wise man. Grumpiest man in Queensland.
One of the angriest men you'll ever meet.
Oh,
but a good fella.
God. But a great fella.
How are you, Tatey?
Now, we've got some text here, mate. Kempy and self-proclaimed Tiger Woods. Actually, sorry. That's Sam from Miranda.
What?
Nicho Hines or Benny Hunt the more pivotal 14-man utility play for their respective origin sides?
Oh, geez, great question.
Great question.
Are they both in? Are they?
Hey, mate, well, you're the assistant coach.
I'm not a selector, though. Look, again, you would think that Nicho Hines will be selected for the Blues, and you would think
Jackie Whiten.
Yeah, Jackie Whiten. But, he could play centres as well. Latrell Mitchell, he's not going to be there.
Oh, interesting. I haven't thought
particularly
about
for the first game. So there's
okay.
decisions to be made. He's played in the centres before for the Blues.
Absolutely, and he played well too.
But they are spoilt for choices in that position right now.
Yeah.
So, whoever they run with, I would, if Jack Wighton's not in the centres, he's certainly an option to play that 14 role.
Yeah.
Along with Nico Hines. It's just it's a matter of makeup of who best suits.
Yeah.
The other players around them, the other
sure.
16 players. But Ben Hunt, he, I'd like to. If I was a betting man, and he's fit, I'd put my money on him being in the Queensland side.
He has performed so many times in that position.
And if he's playing 14, it's ideal for him because he can play in the halves, he can play dummy half. You could actually chuck him, at 13. He's a tough, pretty robust little fella. And he's played a lot of footy in the middle, like at all levels. He's played there at Clubland, State of Origin, and in Test matches he's played in the middle.
Yeah.
So, but both very versatile players. Very different style of players.
Really, really different,
But guys that can play multiple positions. Like Nico Hines can play anywhere in the back line. Probably not as robust, as I said, as a Benny Hunt.
Yeah.
But can play in the middle if you needed him to.
Yeah, absolutely. And where he may have that have that robustness, he's probably more gracious than Benny Hunt.
Yep.
More gracious across the field. Big Brucey with that bucket. Big Brucey with that bucket gliding around.
Yeah.
But
graceful.
Yeah, mate, graceful, mate. He's very Nico Hines with that hair. Come on, tell me that's not graceful. That hair flying out the back, Shark Park.
Oh, mate.
He's got ScoMo doing the spirit fingers. Graceful.
Yeah. nice little ponytail to get ripped out at Origin level. Rip it off.
Hey boys, it's tailor made TP5 Bomber Jed. I have another question that will hit the fairway. What is both of your thoughts on rumours around Matt Burton wanting to test the open market? How much do you think this year's underwhelming performances have affected his market value?
Oh, I don't think it would affect him at all. I think everyone knows the quality of player that Matt Burton is. There's no doubt that he's in a team that's struggling right now, but he's been a shining light for the Bulldogs. Every game he's played, he's gone out and played well. What's his current situation with
I think
his contract? It's another 2 years.
But one, the one, like the last one, is a player option, I'm pretty sure. So November 1st, to my understanding, he can start negotiating.
Well, no matter what, and there's talk about, Barrett's gone, so, players will jump ship. For me, I think, you've made a decision to go to the Bulldogs. Like, you've committed yourself to that club. No matter who's coaching, you need to stick it. You need to stick it out.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what you think, Kempy, but stick it out. You need to tough it out. But on the Burton situation, I think that, no matter what happens over the next, 12 to 18 months, it's not going to affect his value in the market.
No, I don't think so.
No, even if he decides, look, Bulldogs isn't the place for me. I think I'm going to move on. It's just not happening for me for various reasons. I'm going to decide to move on. It's not going to affect his value in this competition.
Yeah. No, look, I agree with you in regards to, unless it's a very special circumstance like where it's your father or something. Outside of that, I agree with you. If a coach that you like is moved on, you owe the fans. The fans are the ones that pay your bills. The coach doesn't pay your bills.
That's right.
The club doesn't pay your bills. The fans pay your bills. And so when you go to a club, you're signing with the fans. You're signing, so to anyone that's sitting there going, oh, well, my coach is gone, it's a bit unfair on the fans. Now, obviously, there can be other reasons that you leave. You're not playing well. They don't want you to, they want you to leave or whatever.
Personal reasons.
Yeah, but the specific one of the coach going, I think that's a bit like, stick around.
That's my point.
Yeah, I agree, bro. I agree. In regards to Burton, look, I think we have to remember this guy's a Dally M Centre of the Year.
Yeah.
Dally M Centre of the Year. So at the very least, let's say you're going to pay him $600K. You've got one of the best centres in the comp.
Yep.
At the very least, when he's playing. Now, some may argue it was at Penrith Panthers, and that's a fair argument. But I think any good coach right now in the NRL would love to get their hands on Burton, because it's not just about his form. It's about what you can see, like just the way he sets up plays, the way he runs, his balance, his size, his speed, all of these things. They can mould that into the player that they need to be. So I don't think his value will be affected at all. And I think we're not even seeing the surface of his potential.
No,
I think
that's
he's
right.
got so much potential. We're going to head to a break, guys, but thank you for your texts. We got thousands flowing in, so just make sure to keep them flowing. 0457 736 736. Also call in 1300 01 1170. After the break, we're going to continue previewing the round. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with the great Cameron Smith. We have a caller on the line, the Slippery Eel. You there, the Slippery Eel?
Yeah, boys. Hope you're both well.
How are you, mate?
Yeah, good. Cam, mostly directed at you this one. So Stormers have obviously famously done a great job of keeping high-level talent together for a really long time.
Yep.
Now and when you were with them. Can you give us a little bit of an insight into how the senior players getting in blokes' years kind of affects this? And obviously I'm a Para fan. And I look at the losses we have this year, and I trust the club and trust the process, but I just feel like maybe one of them could have been kept if we got in their ear.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't say that senior players have direct conversations with younger players in particular about committing to their club or even playing for unders. I think it's more just about the younger players watching those senior players and how they make their decisions. Now, I know at Melbourne in my time with particularly guys like Ryan Hoffman and Billy Slater, Cooper Cronk, these type of players, that there was a commitment to the footy club that's where we wanted to be and that's where we wanted to stay for a long period of time, and to try and build success and more so have sustained success for a period of time at that one club. And so we were committed and we were loyal. I'm sure those other guys had opportunities to leave for more money throughout their career, but they chose to stay at Melbourne. Yeah. So I think that's, instead of having direct conversations like this, I don't know of anyone, and particularly I'm speaking from my own experiences, that I never once sat down with any of my teammates that I played with and spoke about what I was getting paid or what he was getting paid and how that added up on the salary cap and how to help that. It was more around our commitment to the club, and then from there, whoever's representing you in negotiations and the club itself, they're the ones that sort that out. They just have an understanding that there's a group of players there that want to stay together, and that once the negotiations start and the offers come through, it's just whether you're willing to stay for that offer that you've been given. If you're willing to stay for that offer for the sacrifice of the possibility of winning a premiership, then you stay. If your main purpose is to make as much money as you can, then you'll just take the highest bidder.
Yeah, it's Smithy. Just I guess, and I'm only assuming, but do you kind of feel like if you have to have that conversation, then it's too late already? Like
I think so.
If you've got to fully bail a bloke up and be like, mate, this is how we operate around here, then obviously the message wasn't sent strong enough. For example, and I was a much smaller player at the Broncos, but it was absolutely just an understanding that big players in this club are taking pay cuts for each other. Like, that was just the way it was. And also, they didn't speak to you during contract time, but the older players, the senior players, they'd explain to you every now and then. They'd be like, boys, like, to win premierships, people need to take pay cuts. That's just the way it is.
And it's not so much pay cuts can be. It's just you make a sacrifice, a small sacrifice, to stay at that club when you could be paid more somewhere else, but for the betterment of the group and the club that you're playing for right now. That's really what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Pay cut's probably the wrong word, because you're still getting paid decently. But it's a really interesting one, because I think also people underestimate the fact that when you're in a squad, it's not disrespectful to speak about contracts, but it's just not really appropriate. It's not really your place to tell another man or woman how to live their life or whatever.
Yeah.
This is kind of the culture that we have.
That's right.
If you want to get on board, that's great. If not,
it's like any other industry. Like I don't know if there'd be any other workplace that you walk into and you discuss salaries.
Yeah.
Would you?
Yeah. Or you'd ever go down to a lower salary and go, look, you've got to stay on less because we're a startup company and we're trying to blah, blah, blah. Yeah, look, it's a great question, though, the slippery eel. Great question.
Slippery eel.
Love the name.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it very much. Great insight.
Good on you, mate.
All the best.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate it. There he is, a slippery eel. One of the best names, the slippery eel. I love it. Now, the Eels, I think, obviously, Reid, big loss. Big loss, Reid Marnie, and Papali'i, big loss as well. But I do think we have to give the Eels admin credit for where they've been able to get the club, because they've been very steadfast in the way they negotiate, the decision they've made, and their decisions have gotten to the club where I believe they're genuine a premiership threat, whereas 5 years ago, they were wooden spooners.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so I think we have to trust Eels admin that they're going to get it right, because they've got it right over the last 5 years.
Well, they've built a team now that are quite competitive, and unfortunately just fallen short over the last couple of years in the big games. But if you look at their team right now, they're the only team in the competition that have beaten both Penrith and Melbourne.
Yes.
And to a further point, they've had the wood over the Storm the last couple of years.
Yep. Yeah.
So they're a bit of a bogey team for Melbourne at the moment. Is 2022 their year?
Mate, could be. If it is going to be, it should be this year, because Reid Marnie, he's so important to their attack. Now, we're going to head to a break. Make sure to call in 1300 01 1170 or give us a text 0457 736 736, and we'll see you after the news. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. We've got some texts, Smithy. We've got 1,000 texts.
Mate, we got a million of them. Keep them coming in, guys. Just remember, there's a $50 Schnitz voucher for callers and text messages. We'll pick out the best one and pick up a $50 Schnitz voucher. Also, a dozen TP5 golf balls and a Tour Radar hat. Thanks to our great friends at TaylorMade Golf.
The best in the biz.
Best in the biz. Got this one here. G'day, goat. Oh, sorry, where is it? I've lost it.
I know.
It was from Gussie.
I've got Gussie here.
Yeah, Gussie.
Hey, boys. Gussie from Mackay. Smithy, I just want to thank you for complimenting me and my mates for the good-looking bloke jerseys.
Oh, the bloke jersey.
We wore on Friday night.
They're out.
Mate.
Talk to us about that.
That was, that was incredible. Thank you so much to everyone that grabbed a bloke jersey, because they were out. It was a sea of bloke jerseys. I got messages from everyone going, mate, I cannot get me eyes off the bloke jerseys. They're everywhere.
Yep.
So thanks to everyone that purchased one, because, mate, really do appreciate it.
And Kempy, I got a special one from you too the week before when they first come out. I thank you for that. I was actually going to wear it. But the ladies at Channel 9 Wardrobe, they said, no, sorry, mate. I can't. Listen, you need to put your blazer on. If it got a little bit cooler, I was going to chuck the bloke jersey on. But
would have been great.
I seen the boys walking around Suncorp Stadium. There's a big group of them. I said, hey, boys, love the jersey.
Yep.
Stood out. How good were they? I could see them. You'd see everyone in their bloke jerseys.
I can't believe how good they look, honly.
Yeah.
And you got a
Well
VIP
done.
service, literally handed from the guy. They were selling out, Smithy. There was none left, and I put one aside to you. The last one was given to you.
Thank you, mate.
But yeah, thanks everyone to grab one. Really do appreciate it. Now, let's get into the preview of Parramatta Eels versus the Sea Eagles. It's it's a big game. It's a big game for both. I mean, the Parramatta Eels. If I'm an Eels fan, they're so tough to support. Not because they aren't a great side.
Yes.
But it's like 1 week you're sitting there going, "This is the year."
They knocked off Penrith a fortnight ago,
and so you're going, "Yep, this is the year we can do it." And then the next week they turn out, and it's a different side. And it's literally like they're going week for week where they're just a different side.
Yep.
Manly Sea Eagles, they started really poorly, then they found their form, and then now they're not looking anywhere near where they were.
Yep.
Where do you see this game, for both sides?
Yeah, just with a couple of their players, Turbo, he's been named despite there's some concerns over his knee or leg, or they reckon he's got a knock or a cork
or something.
But yeah, watching him the other night, just his ability to move across the ground, he just didn't look 100%.
Yeah.
Now, whether that's the knee or it's the knock on the leg, either one, he just doesn't look 100%. Ben Trebojevic, he's out. Just got a bit of a niggle in the AC joint, which he hurt last week. Morgan Harper comes back into the side. Look, I don't know. They just got to find a way to get their season back on track. And I know they've had a couple of suspensions. They've had a few injuries to some key players. But they still got the team to go out there and play well. I reckon they would have been a little bit embarrassed with that result against the Broncos last Friday night.
Yeah.
They're a much better football side than what they showed against Brisbane. But Parramatta Eels, they're probably in a similar position where, like, they are the first team in a long, long time to beat Penrith at home.
Yeah.
Right? Penrith were going for like 21 or 22 in a row.
Crazy.
Parramatta go out there, play an enormous game of footy and knock them off, but then turn up at Magic Round and can't get past the Roosters. Now, it's the same old story. Like, it's the Roosters, they're up and down, and they come out and have a blinder, which then, but you'd like to think that if you're good enough to go past Penrith, then form lines say that you should be good enough to beat Roosters, even if they do play well.
Yeah.
So it's a frustrating position that I think Eels fans find themselves in again, where you'd be sitting back last week on Sunday Arvo scratching your head, wouldn't you, Kempy?
Yeah.
Like, you're like, mate, we just knocked off Penrith last week, but we can't beat the Roosters.
And also, like, the Roosters put 30 on us.
30.
It's kind of like, if we lose, at least we can lose in a close 16-12 or whatever. But yeah, it's just the Eels are such an interesting side. They have to sort it out because, I think you said a few weeks ago, your last game of the season always represents where you're at for the season.
Yep. And they have, and that's been their year thus far. Like, it's been so inconsistent and up and down. Like, their best is clearly good enough to beat beat Melbourne and beat Penrith, like they have done already this year.
Yeah.
But when things don't go their way or things don't go to plan, they're like every other side. It's toss of the coin. Like, what team are we getting today?
It's really interesting that the season that we're having and the last couple of seasons, I feel like just consistency across the board. You're really only looking at the Panthers and Storm that have any sort of consistency.
And it gets a little bit tiring, that conversation.
Yeah.
Just talking about those two teams, but that describes the competition to a T.
Yeah.
It's Melbourne and Penrith who have been the most consistent out of any other side.
Yeah.
Any other side. Every other side is in the same category where that you when you turn up to watch them play or you're sitting at home watching them play, you don't know what team is going to be on the field that day.
Yeah, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Who do you see getting this done? Manly or Para?
I think Parramatta. I think Parramatta will be too strong. I think I just think, Manly have just they look a little bit down on confidence at the moment.
Yeah.
Just with a lot of their changes, as I mentioned before, with suspensions and injuries and personnel in and out each week, they just look down on confidence. But it also wouldn't surprise me, Kempy, if they go out and put a scoreline on, which they can do.
Absolutely.
Which they can do. Like they have the ability to score a lot of points. But I just think I think Parramatta will be too strong at home.
Yeah, and looking to bounce back, in my opinion.
Yeah,
looking for a big bounce back. Now, St. George Dragons versus New Zealand Warriors. I wanted to get your quick thoughts on Sloan has been dropped again. So he came up, didn't play the best last week. I mean, he still ran for like 180 metres, had a few tackle breaks. I think he had a line break or two, but didn't have the best game in defence. And then he's been dropped again by Hook. What are your thoughts on? My opinion with rookies is you've got to give them longer than a game.
Give him an opportunity. Yeah.
Do you think it's... What are your thoughts on the decision to drop him again?
Yeah, well, it's just they're searching for results. They're searching for wins, and that's an important part of every side's plan throughout the year. But I think it's just a move to try and get a win this weekend against the Warriors.
Do you think it's best for his development to be coming in and out like that?
Oh, probably not. I agree with you where young players need opportunity to settle in, but it's the world we live in now, Kempy. Everyone expects results now.
Yeah.
We just want it done now. It's not about let's look at long term, building this guy up so in a year's time or 2 years' time we'll be a premiership threat.
Yeah.
It's all about no, we want to win now.
Yeah.
We need a result. It's all a lot of it's business driven, unfortunately. Like sport is a big business now. NRL is a big business.
That's a good point.
It's a multi-million-dollar business.
Yeah.
From club to club and the entire competition. So everyone is after results. So I think that's the reason for that. But St. George, like they're a team that they're not that far off.
They really aren't. They really are not.
They're a team that aren't that far off from being sort of cemented in that top 8 position.
Yeah. I think what's the struggling, not the struggling thing, the thing that's going to make the Dragons struggle this year to get in the 8 is that the two teams that have really improved, three teams, Sharks, Broncos, and the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And so they've made that 8 so much harder to make.
Yes.
Whereas this same Dragon side last year could probably squeeze into the 8 because it was quite easy to make the 8. Whereas the Dragons, they need to sort it out sooner rather than later because they can't allow Broncos, Cowboys, and Sharks to continue to pull away from them.
Yes.
Because the Roosters, Eels, the Para and Storm are absolutely going to be in the top 8.
They're a lock.
So all of a sudden, that 8 becomes really, really tough to get in. So much so that right now, Manly aren't even in the 8. Manly could miss finals footy when they were a premiership threat to some.
Yeah.
So Dragons, if they want to get going, it's got to be soon.
Well, let's just you talk about that 8 spot, right? And there's like 5 teams that are similar points on the competition ladder. This week, if the let's just say the Rabbitohs go down to the Raiders, and other results go in favour of some other teams. Like there's like 4 other sides or 3 other sides that could possibly be in the 8th position this weekend.
Yeah.
At the end of the weekend.
Crazy. You
know what I mean? So there's a logjam from sort of 8th down to about 12th.
Yeah.
At the moment, where pending results each week, those positions can change.
Yeah. And if
in those 5 teams.
And if you drop a few more games, all of a sudden you lose. It's like a long distance running race. If you lose.
Well, you drop off the pack, don't you?
You all of a sudden you're fighting for not 8, you're fighting for not the spoon, pretty much.
Yeah, you're sort of fighting to finish in the top part of the bottom 4.
Yep, absolutely.
But I just think if you're coaching in this current competition, or if you're a player in this current competition, I'd be talking about trying to string together sequences of wins.
Yeah.
Because if you can do that in this competition right now, it puts you in a really good position on the ladder.
Well, I mean, look where the Broncos are right now.
That's what I mean.
They've had 4 on the trot.
That's what I mean.
And now all of a sudden we're talking, wow, the Broncos could cement themselves if they win a couple more games.
Yep.
So, yeah, you're totally right. Sequence of wins. Now, we're going to head to a break. After the break, though, we're going to have the best moments brought to you by Best Shed. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Time now to look back at the best moments in sport this week. Thanks to our friends at Best Sheds. Hit the sheds with Best Sheds 10% off sale. Now, Smithy, I'm going to go first this week.
Okay.
Because I am so excited about this moment. I thought it was such good footy from both players, especially Adam Reynolds. It was the return of the chip and chase in rugby league.
Chip and chase.
Adam Reynolds, he had it on a dime on the weekend. He had no room to work with. He does a beautiful chip and chase. And then Sam Walker identifies Gutho not being at fullback, being an A-marker, puts it over the top, the confidence of the kid. Talk about bringing back the old school exciting footy. It was absolutely brilliant on the weekend.
Love it. Couple of little halves getting their work done there. It was a lot like Alfie Langer back in the day.
It did remind me.
Wasn't it?
I didn't want to say it, but
Elf.
It was there.
Kempy, mine is the resurgence of Queensland Rugby League. So the 3 teams, 3 Queensland teams across the weekend, Broncos, Titans and Cowboys, they all had victories. Titans in a golden point thriller, a try in the corner, got them a victory by 4 points. But the Bronx, big win over Manly.
Yep.
And the Cowboys, well, they were way too strong. They're another team on a roll at the moment. Just too good. Last year, you think back to last year's Magic Round, they all got beaten. I think it was like by a combined total of like 90 points.
Well, I remember the Broncos got absolutely towed up.
Smashed
by
Manly.
By Manly. It was like 50-6 or something like that.
So, great turnaround.
Yeah.
And they're all, Titans, they've got their first victory. They haven't been playing so well, but the Cowboys and Broncos all going really well. Great for rugby league up in Queensland.
Mate, it's fantastic. And also, great for Origin.
Ooh,
boys playing a bit in form. Easier to pick blokes in form than not in form, that's for sure.
That's right.
An absolutely fantastic week with some huge, huge moments. Is there any other moments that stood out to you, Smithy, or that was the 2 we got there?
I think that was the build-up for the Storm.
Oh, how good was that?
Storm Panthers game.
Yeah.
I know it ended up in a blowout in the end to Penrith. They were fantastic actually.
Penrith.
They were so good. Like to the point where I think I said this last week. and the week before, I think it looked like they'd set themselves for that game.
Yeah, you did say this last week. You said, I think they've got it penciled in.
Just have a look at the way they played, like their energy and they were at the Storm from the first minute to the last.
Yeah.
Right, they were relentless with the way they played. But if you go back like a couple of weeks ago, played Titans, just snuck past them.
Yeah.
Went back home, played against Para, got beaten, and then all of a sudden turned out magic round and put 38 on Melbourne.
Yeah.
It's like the biggest. Weren't they saying that was the biggest loss Storm had suffered since 2014?
Mate, massive.
Something like that. So, they were very good. I just love the build up for that. And there was that Saturday, the whole day, it was a sellout.
Yeah.
Had been a sellout for 2 weeks. They ended up with, given the rain and whatnot, the conditions, I think they ended up with something like 46,000.
That's so good.
46,000 at a club game.
Yeah.
That's enormous. It was just huge.
I think good weather, we're looking at fully packed out. What's also really interesting about Penrith is that for quite a few years, the knock on Cleary by fans, in my opinion, that was incorrect, was he's not a big game player. He's not, he can't deliver in the big game.
Yeah.
When I tell you what, it's been a few big games now that Cleary has absolutely delivered in. So he has proven the haters wrong. He's turned into really one of the most complete halves.
Yep.
That's been in a while, and definitely in the game.
Yep.
Now, we're going to head to a break, but that was thanks to Best Sheds, 100% Australian-owned and manufactured. Visit bestsheds.com.au. After the break, we'll wrap up the second hour of the show. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with the great Cameron Smith. We've got some texts here. We're going to get them out before we get to the third hour of the show. Hey, boys, love the show, and not yourself, Cam the GOAT, and the people speak. I think he says he loves you there. He says, Speak, you've really changed the landscape of NRL for your regular fans, so thank you. Thanks, mate. I appreciate that. Bit of a long one here. The tragic West Australian Queenslander here. So my question is around State of Origin fan eligibility. I'm from Western Australia, and when I moved to Sydney, New South Wales, had won a couple of series in a row. I asked, who do I go for? And everyone said, you're not from New South Wales, so you suck and must follow the Maroons. Now I'm a diehard Broncos fan and Queensland fan, and now every year comes around and living in Sydney, if the Broncos or Queensland go well, everyone tells me to shut my trap and I'm not from there. Boys, what's the go? Is it this fair or what? The West Australian Queenslander.
Oh, I think that's just part of the sport.
Part of the banter. They're upset, mate. They're trying to get under your skin any way they can by calling you not from there. But I tell you what, as a Broncos player, I am stoked that you're one of the Broncos fans, mate.
Love you on board, bud.
Have you on board, and very happy to have you here. Now, after the break, we've got the last hour of the show, and we're going to preview the rest of the round of footy. See you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run for the final hour. The final run, we're going to have a huge last hour because we have to preview two absolutely massive games. Now, if you had told me Cowboys versus Storm was going to be a massive game at the start of the season, I would have said, mate, you're kidding yourself.
Yep.
Cowboys, they'll be lucky to make the 8.
Yes.
How wrong I was. They are playing absolutely fantastic football.
Sitting third on the ladder.
And so much so that if they do beat the Storm, who knows? They could be top 2.
Oh,
if they
crazy.
continue to win some games, which is just absolutely incredible. And hats off to Peyton, Townsend, Taumlolo, all the boys up there doing such good work.
Yep.
The Storm, on the other hand, I'm sure they'll be very, very upset with the way last week turned out. It had so much build up the game, and Storm have been known for years and years as big game players. Now, you could make the argument over the last 12 months, their 2 biggest games has been their 2 worst games of the season.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Storm right now?
Yeah, look, I think this is a huge game. And as you said, like start of the year, if you previewed this match before the season kicked off, you think, well, Storm in a canter.
Yes.
But right now, particularly going up to Townsville, Ryan Papenhuyzen, as we know, still not there. He won't be there for quite some time still. Jerome Hughes has been named to play at half. Now, speaking with a few Storm officials last week, that wasn't even on the radar because he picked up a calf injury in the game 2 weeks ago. And it was only scanned the day before the game against Penrith, and it picked up like a slight strain or something like that. Now, knowing the high performance staff and the medical staff at Melbourne, they're very conservative when it comes to injuries like that, particularly with calves, hamstrings, those soft tissue type of injuries. So I was really surprised to see him named. at halfback
Yeah.
for this match. And I wouldn't be shocked if he's a late withdrawal.
Yeah, okay.
From this footy side. Now, if that's the case, you'd still say Melbourne are a stronger footy side, but with the way that the Cowboys are playing now and the confidence that they've got and they're going back home, huge opportunity for them.
Mate.
As you mentioned, like if they win this one, they'd have to beat Melbourne by 75 points to leapfrog them on for and against to jump into second spot. But if they win, they are equal second with Melbourne.
Equal second on points. Don't say you're not allowed to say that. No, they're third. They're absolutely third. They're not equal second on points. They're absolutely third.
They'd be equal second. I'm with you. They'd be equal second.
Just a joke. It's calling back a joke from Monday's
joke, guys.
We've got Matty the Waterboy here, and we're just giving it just a bit of banter.
Just stirring him up a bit.
Just stirring him up a little bit. But, mate, the Cowboys versus Storm, as you said, it's an incredible opportunity for the Cowboys because just the crazy thing is, and I compare it to the Eels, no matter what, for the rest of the year, if they're down and out, their confidence is gone. Brad Arthur walks in and goes, boys, see these 2 rounds where we beat the best in the comp?
Yeah.
We can do it.
Yes.
If the Cowboys can beat the Storm this weekend, for the rest of the year, doesn't matter how good or bad they go, they can turn around and say, boys, we beat the best of the best. Yes, they're minus, maybe they're 7-1.
Yep.
But footy, it doesn't matter who's in or out. You need a person to turn up and do the job.
Well, I'll tell you a little story and a reminder for Cowboys fans that are listening today. 2015, right? 2015, the Cowboys start the year awfully. I think they win one of their first 4 matches or one of their first 5, okay? People are calling for Paul Green's head. They're saying, mate, sack him, get rid of him. He's not doing a good job. Like, doesn't know what he's doing. Anyway, Storm, so we roll up to Townsville. We're taking on the Cowboys. They're running second last, okay? We get beaten in Golden Point. Now, it took some Jonathan Thurston genius to knock us off that night, okay?
So many times.
We were leading by 7 points with, I think, 3 minutes to go.
No way.
And we got beat.
Oh.
Okay, we got beat.
Only Thurston.
They scored a try, okay?
Yeah.
On the sideline. He kicks the conversion. He comes down in the next set with like a minute to go. We kick off a minute to go. I think they copped a penalty, third tackle or something, kick for touch, get down the other end, kicks a field goal. Okay? We're now even. We go to Golden Point, slots another one. Okay? We lose. They go on to win 15 in a row, if you can remember back.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And then what happens that year?
Yeah, I know what happens.
They win the premiership.
Yes. And guess who? Thurston, field goal.
Thurston's the man again. But just a little reminder out there, and you're talking about knocking off teams like Penrith and Melbourne, that you gain confidence. Just a little going back into the history books.
Yeah.
That's what this team did, or that's what this club did in 2015.
Yeah,
when they were struggling big time.
Yeah. Wow. It's such a good point too, because you build so much confidence over those wins. Like it just sets you up for the rest of the year. But you even look at the Para, no matter how poorly and how inconsistent they've been, people are still like, but they're a premiership threat.
Yep.
Whereas if they hadn't beaten Storm or Penrith, everyone would be like, this is a poor year from Para. Like, they're so inconsistent. They're nowhere near where they should be.
Yep.
Cowboys, absolutely huge opportunity. I do still believe, though, Storm will get the job done, as you know, more than anyone.
Yes.
Storm very rarely play 2 bad games in a row.
Yep. Jerome Hughes out though. You still
loss.
give him if he does. Let's say he doesn't play. Should they still win?
I think they do, just because they've got enough strikes still. We have to remember this is a side that still has Munster. It still has. Actually, in saying that, I think Nas is out.
Yeah, Big Nas.
Yes.
He's been ruled
Solomona, which is a huge out.
Mm-hmm.
He is the only forward you have that bends the line at a regular, whereas the other guys, although they bend the line, it's more of a, battlers and getting through their work.
He's a guy that skittles the defence and creates opportunities for Harry Grant, Brandon Smith to play off the back of, and the halves and whatnot. So
this is a perfect opportunity.
This is what I mean. Like, it's a golden opportunity for a team like the Cowboys who have found themselves in a winning streak at the moment.
Yep.
As I said, back home in front of their home fans, it'll be a huge turnout. I'd like to think.
Be a sellout,
playing against Melbourne, given there's a lot of Melbourne fans up there. There's good support for both for Melbourne when they travel up there. And it's 2v3. So I'd like to think this will be almost a packed house. And they've got nothing to lose.
Literally.
They've got nothing to lose. They're taking on one of the heavyweights of the competition. They're in great form. Storm they're missing a couple of players, a couple of key players. Couldn't find them at a better time.
Yeah. Yeah, mate, you're absolutely right. And look, on the flip side, it's a huge opportunity for Storm to go, we're still the Storm boys. We have standards. Yep. It's a standard-setting game for the Storm.
Yes.
It's a message they can send to each other going, next man up, next man up. It doesn't matter if we've lost 3 of our best players.
Yep.
Next man up.
Yep.
So,
well, if those big names, if they all stand up and play well for Melbourne, and let's face it, they were well below their best against the Panthers. Although they weren't allowed to play at their best because of the way Panthers approached that game. It was their start. I think Craig Bellamy mentioned in his post-match press conference was about how they just let the Panthers get away to too good a start, and from there they just couldn't rein them in. So if all the big name players at Melbourne really play well this week. That'll make it much more difficult for the Cowboys.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, on to the next huge... I mean, what a night of footy. The Roosters versus the Penny Panthers. I mean, the Sydney Roosters, although they aren't playing as good as we would have hoped, they're still sitting in the top 4 right now.
They're 4th.
Which is incredible. The club, they just find a way.
Yeah, they do.
Find a way.
Yep.
The Penny Panthers flying high. I think for the Sydney Roosters, you're sitting here going, okay, we haven't been the best we can be probably the last few weeks, but we did just beat the Eels. We got to win the week before. Maybe they're slowly starting to kick into gear, similar-ish to that 2018 season, where they struggled at the start, they couldn't really find their combinations, and then eventually it all clicked for them. It's a real good game for the Roosters to go, announce themselves on the NRL stage and say, we're here and we're a premiership threat.
Yeah. It is a great opportunity for them, and they have been up and down. They just need to find that consistency again, and that's the issue for a lot of teams this year is finding consistency. And you hear coaches talk about this a lot. We just haven't got the consistency of the top teams at the moment. So the Roosters are still trying to find that. I thought Sam Walker really took some great steps last week as to what his best game looks like. He played a very dominant role in that Roosters side. He was fantastic. Unfortunately, Victor Radley, he's picked up another injury. Kempy,
so unlucky.
So he won't be there
around Origin time again.
Yeah, he won't be there this weekend. Nat Butcher takes the 13 jersey. Lindsay Collins, he's back on the bench. He returns from suspension, so that's a big in. I think Lindsay Collins has been in some pretty good form.
Yeah,
personally this year. So that's a big in for them, but tough task taking on Penrith.
Oh, man.
When they're coming off a win like they had last week, and it's a unchanged lineup, they're just settled. Yeah, they're settled. Everyone's looking pretty fit at the moment, and they just they look in a really good spot,
mate. And I even think that the Panthers have another gear in them as well. I don't think they're even at their peak right now, which is a scary scary sight.
Well, I think Nathan Cleary, he spoke about that on the Vossi show this morning. Vossi and Brandy, he said, look, I truly believe we've got another gear, which is...
Please don't have another gear.
Please.
Cleary, please don't have another gear. Just get into cruise control.
Goodness me.
Put cruise control on, mate, and just cruise on into the final series. Because if they go up another gear, wow, it's going to be a scary sight. So look, this is going to be a cracking game. Big opportunity for... I thought Hargreaves was outstanding last week.
Yeah, he was.
And I can't wait for this forward pack. History shows that when these forward packs collide, it's usually, at the very least, the first 20 minutes, it's explosions, it's fireworks.
Yep.
But what's really interesting for me is the matchup of Sam Walker and Keary versus Luai Cleary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's a juicy matchup because Keary has won. First of all, their names sound the same, which is awesome. Keary versus Cleary. But Keary has won 3 premierships. I think people forget this guy's a 3 premiership winning half.
Yep.
Slowly finding form again. And Sam Walker is supposed to be the next big thing.
Yep.
Then you obviously got Cleary and Luai, who are the origin halves. Very interesting battle. Who do you think gets this, though?
Yeah, I just think that Penrith at the moment, they're just a bit stronger, a bit more settled with their lineup. and they'll come into this game, riding high on what was just an absolute demolition of the Storm. I know Penrith. I know the Roosters had a really strong victory as well, and played some of their best footy of the season. It's just hard to go past Penrith at the moment.
Yeah,
they suffered the one loss against Parramatta. If Roosters are going to, take any style of footy into this game, they need to look at that Parramatta game.
Yeah.
Where Parramatta, they what they did? They got under the skin of the Penrith footy side. They played a little bit unorthodox at times as well, with offloads, changing of angles with their runs. If you just want to roll up with a standard game plan of just getting through your sets, trying to get up the other end with 1-out runs and trying to outmuscle Penrith, they will eat that up. They will eat that up every day of the week, and especially out wide. Like when you play to your edges, if you just have your standard set plays like blocks and these type of plays, you need to come up with something a little bit different.
Yeah.
Just to unsettle them a little bit and give them something that they haven't seen before. And then they start to, they're not used to being in that uncharted territory.
Yeah.
They're very comfortable, when they're defending, they're very comfortable seeing the normal everyday things that they train for.
Yep.
But when they're faced with something that's a little bit out of the ordinary, that's when you can catch them a little bit off guard.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I cannot wait for this game. Now we've got some text, Smithy. Hi, Goat and Lord Kempy. Lord, I like that.
Lord
like
Kempy.
That. What are your thoughts on Reece Walsh for Maroons fullback? I know Ponga is a talent, and we want to be loyal to him, but his line defence can be questionable. And while he's not to blame for Newcastle's poor performance, he's certainly not at his best.
Yeah, well, I agree with that. He hasn't been at his best, and I think he's aware of that too. Speaking with Bill Slater, he's been in contact with Kalen across this season, and I think he's also been in contact with Reece Walsh as well. But he's one of, we spoke about this earlier in the show. Great question though. It's some players that aren't, they're not finding their best form or not feeling their best at clubland. As soon as they get out of there and get into like an Origin camp or an environment, they seem to just find a new sort of energy and exuberance about themselves and find their best again. So maybe Kalen Ponga will do that if that's the way the Maroons selectors go, and obviously Bill as coach. I think that's the way he's leaning.
Yeah, okay.
Is having Kalen as the number one.
And to be fair, in Kalen's defence, he has played well at Origin essentially every game that he's played.
He has.
So it's not like, I mean, there was a period there where when he came in, people were saying, is he as good as Tedesco? There was, so I think we forget, look, yes, Kalen's form hasn't been the best, even though I do believe he's probably been Knight's best player.
Yeah.
I think that he's got the runs on the board at Origin to keep that spot. And also I think he's going to excel, as you said, in the environment that is. And I think being under Billy Slater, like if there's one person in the entire world that can get the best out of a fullback, it's Billy Slater.
Yep.
Billy Slater. So, look, I think Reece Walsh is still super young as well. Plenty of time to get a crack. Look, I've got another text here. Morning, boys. I'd love to get your thoughts on Manly and where things are going wrong at the moment. Clearly, they weren't in the game from the kickoff through to the final whistle last week, and they've got huge games against Parramatta and Melbourne over the next 2 weeks. Obviously, Turbo is way down on form, but does the return of Schuster make a big enough impact to give them a chance against the top-tier teams, the Mad Dog?
Mad Dog. That's a good text. They weren't. They just weren't in it right from the beginning against the Broncos. The Broncos just looked like they wanted it more.
Yeah,
they really did. And I don't know. It was a strange sort of sight watching Manly go about their business the other night. Like I don't know. They just looked half interested at times and really not there. It was similar to what they showed in the first semi-final of last year. Now, I know it's a different season, but it's the way they turned up in that first semi where they played Melbourne on the Sunshine Coast. They didn't look like they were ready for it.
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
didn't look ready for that lift in intensity for finals footy.
Blown off the park.
They were, and they were just never in the game. So, how do you fix that? That's just all personal preparation from players. And, with Desi as the coach, and you've got some wonderful players in that side, you'd like to think that they'd all be preparing the best they can. But you need everyone on board, Kempy.
Yeah.
You can't just rely on, a select few, a group of 4 or 5 players to be at their best. And, if they play well, we'll win. Well, it doesn't work like that. You need everyone on board. You might be able to, and I say might, you might be able to carry, from game to game, 2, maybe 3, right, at a pinch, guys that aren't at their best and still jag some wins. But when you're playing, when you're relying on maybe 2 or 3 guys, that's just not going to work.
Yeah, no, absolutely, because eventually you'll get found out. Eventually you're going to get found out. So we are going to head to a break. What a Saturday of footy. After the break, though, we're going to share our holy schnitz moments from the week. See you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Holy schnitz moment of the week. Our favourite moment of the week, Snitty and Smitty.
Snitty, Smitty.
Schmitty, having a snitty with Schmitty. Now, my nomination is Mitchell Moses' amazing solo try against the Roosters.
How good.
In a beaten side, he was outstanding on the weekend, and he is playing easily career best footy.
Yep.
And that try, I think the great thing about Mitchell Moses' year is that he's finally fulfilling all of that promise that we saw so many years ago. And I think for a period there, we were a bit concerned of he'd have that amazing game and then he'd be a bit quiet and then amazing game. I think he's been pretty consistent this year.
No, he has.
And we're seeing the brilliance, but we're also seeing the consistency as well.
Yep. Very good. That's a great nomination, actually.
What about yourself? What do we got?
My nomination, though, it's steps out of the rugby league world. Bit of a different sport here, but former pop star Cody Simpson, he's qualified for the Com Games.
Crazy.
And the World Champs. He's in swimming.
Mate,
he's taken up swimming.
For Australia, for the great nation.
For the green and gold.
I mean,
how good?
Look, it's incredible, but wouldn't being a pop star be fun? More fun? Less training?
Then what? Looking at a black line.
In the
What's not fun
cold
about
water?
I think it's... I don't know.
That's incredible.
I don't know. I haven't been a pop star, nor have I been
you're close.
World sort of level swimmer, so I can't comment on either.
Okay,
I'll tell you what though, mate, the chance to win a gold medal. If you had an opportunity to go to say Com Games or an Olympics and pick up a gold medal, that's how good would that be? Well, if you followed your athletics through,
yes,
you would have had the chance.
Well, I did. I went to the Pan Pacific Games or something like that.
Pan Pacs.
Yeah, I mean, look, the thing with individual sports is it's not enjoyable, it's not fun.
Right.
But when you do get that victory, it is pure elation. You cannot. It's great winning things with your mates. Absolutely. They're different. They're very different.
Yeah.
But winning thing that you've dedicated and you've sacrificed, and it's your coach obviously helps, but it's just you is incredible. And for Cody Simpson. What I love about this story with the Cody Simpson as well, though, is that imagine the amount of people that would have laughed at him when he said he's going to do it.
Oh, there would have been plenty.
Everyone all over the internet would have scoffed Cody Simpson. He's a pop star. He's a singer.
Yeah.
He doesn't have what it takes to be an elite athlete.
Yes.
He has proved the haters wrong.
Yes.
And some.
Sucked in.
Absolutely.
All the haters.
All the haters. If you're a hater, sucked in. Don't be a hater. Be a lover.
Be a lover.
I'm a lover. Be a lover, not a hater.
Good on him. So that's my nomination for the holy schnitz.
Holy
schnitz moment.
Yeah, incredible from Cody Simpson. Congratulations, mate, and I'm sure you'll represent this country really, really well. They were our holy schnitz sporting moments, thanks to Schnitz. Got that winning taste right now? Schnitz handcrafted schnitzels, made fresh and made just for you. After the news, we'll continue our Round 11 preview. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with the great Cameron Smith. Now, let's keep previewing the rounds because I feel like these next games are super interesting. The Rabbitohs had a very up and down season. If you looked at the first half last week, you'd be going, wow, the Rabbitohs are back. You look at the second half, you're going, uh-oh, what's going on here?
Uh-oh.
The Raiders, on the other hand, they had one of the most courageous wins in the club's at least in the recent memory for me. I can't remember a time where a team has had 3 blokes sent from the field for 10 minutes and get a win, not just by a little bit, get a big, solid win against a Sharks side who is essentially, at the very least, a top 6 side right now.
Well, the Sharkies did it nearly the week before.
Yep.
Against the Warriors.
Yeah.
But they didn't have 2 in the bin. They only had the 1. But
a Raiders side, though. Sorry. A Raiders
sorry. Yes, Raiders. They I'll tell you what they did. They played tough.
Yeah. Ricky's
and
Raiders.
they played tough and they played committed, a lot like the Raiders sides of 2000 and well, going back a little bit, but even just of recent time, like the way they were playing through 2018 and 19 when they played in the grand final in 2019 and even 2020, where they were they were a team that they were a gritty side. Gritty side.
What was it like playing that when they were in that kind of peak and they came down to Melbourne, like in that where they ended up making the grand final?
Yeah, they beat us in the first week of the semis.
Yeah. What do you think is the difference between that side you saw in that game and the side you're seeing today?
John Bateman.
Yeah, he's a big deal, isn't he? Far out, they missed.
John Bateman is big out. Jared Croker, obviously, too, battling injury. Like he come back from a really serious knee issue. And then, did he dislocate his elbow? It was elbow or shoulder, something like that. Which is really unfortunate. So, that's a big out. He's skipper. John Bateman was he was a guy that just was always at you. You know what I mean? In defence, he'd pester the halves. He would pester, the dummy halves, all the ball players. He'd be at you all day. He'd get in the face of your forwards. Just make things uncomfortable.
Yeah. And
I think that's on the weekend, that's why I said they played that gritty style of footy where they made the opposition uncomfortable. And Cronulla, they looked out of sorts again because, they'll put under pressure. Nico Hines was at fullback, so bit of a different looking lineup, and I think that changed the way they played. But he's back in the halves again this week. But yeah, that's the key to the Raiders. That's some teams they play very different styles of footy. A lot of people like watching expansive footy and this flashy stuff. Well, I just think that you need to play your style of footy that works for you. And the style of footy that works for the Raiders is just getting down and dirty, dragging teams down to that style of footy that they enjoy playing. And what it does is it makes opposition teams uncomfortable. They don't like playing that style of footy.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Raiders, they did it the best. Like Ricky's Raiders, they honestly represented him as a player so much, just mongrel in your face, and
just
so
pestering teams.
Yeah, just in your face. And Johnny was so good. So look, this match is really interesting. I actually think that the Raiders have a real shot here with Jackie White returning. I think that they've bringing in a guy like Frawley has been so important to them.
He's been good.
He's been great. He's an experienced campaigner. He can lead them around the field. Now, Schneider hasn't been bad, but he's just inexperienced. He's just inexperienced. That's it. Now, with the Rabbitohs, where do you see their season heading? What can they do to get out of this kind of up and down form?
Look, that's a hard one because there's some big changes there. Everyone's talking about Adam Reynolds, but like it's a new coach. As in new role for him. He's been at that club now for quite some time. He was there as an assistant, but taken over as the head coach, Jason Demetrio. But like Dane Gagai is another one. Like people forget about him
massively.
Like he's a experienced player, great leader. Him not being in that lineup too makes a huge difference to the way they're playing. I just think, I thought Damien Cook was really good on the weekend. You're probably looking at those guys like Damien Cook and Cody Walker just to have a bit more influence on this side at the moment because they brought a couple of young fellas in. Like Ilias is, I feel as though like in his first season, he's done a really good job.
Yeah, agreed.
He's done a fantastic job. He's doing what he needs to do right now. I just think a couple of those more senior players just need to have a bit more say on the way that this team performs.
Yeah. Absolutely.
At times, and I don't want to be overly critical, but, Cody, in comparison to last year, like he's been very quiet. I won't say he's played poorly. He's been quiet.
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree with that, but like I just feel like he doesn't have the same stamp on games as what he did last year.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I this is what you're saying as well. I don't think he's anywhere near as bad as what some people are saying.
No.
And you believe you're saying that as well. But I agree with you. The energy doesn't seem to be the same. He just doesn't seem to have that same authority on the match where
that's what I mean.
He goes, we're in a bit of strife here. Give me the ball.
Yes.
Just give me the ball. I'll take care of it. Yep. Now, to be fair, the NRL is a tough gig. It's very hard to be, at the tippity top of your form all the time.
Yep.
So I agree with you. I think, and it's not just him. I think even Cam Murray, to agree, has been a bit quiet this year. I know he's injured now. He'll be out for a couple of weeks. Damien Cook played really well on the weekend. And to be fair, Cody Walker in that first half was outstanding.
Yes.
Outstanding.
Yep.
So all they got, I think if I'm Demetrio, I'm sitting them down and going, just showing the first half.
Yeah.
Because I think with the Rabbitohs, it's all confidence for them. It's all confidence. And I'm going, boys, this is it. We've got it. Here is the game plan. This is how we need to play.
Yep.
I think this is going to be a cracking match, an absolutely cracking match. It is out in Dubbo. Do you think that affects the score?
Well, possibly. I don't know what the weather forecast is out there, but look, it's a hard one.
I know, it's so tough.
Yeah, you're sort of saying if Canberra turn up and play like they did on the weekend, this is a really good opportunity for them to jag another win.
Yeah.
But South Sydney, on the other hand, if they play anywhere near their best footy, they're one of these sides that can beat anyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
they can beat anyone.
They nearly beat the Storm early this year.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They nearly beat the Storm. It just, I don't know. Like,
it's a tough one.
They turn up against the Roosters and give them an absolute flogging out at Homebush earlier in the year too. So if they get everything right, with particularly they're a side that are very good from set starts. If they get opportunity down Canberra's end from any set start through scrums, when they find the line, they got to tap. Very, very difficult to defend. And if they get their timing right, their passing right, every ball hits the mark, they can score a lot of points.
Yeah.
But that needs to happen for them.
Absolutely.
To be able to do that.
Now on to the Titans versus the Sharkies. This is a really interesting one because Hines has returned to halfback.
Yep.
I think that what I love about that call is it shows Fitzgibbon isn't going to be stubborn and dig his heels in and be like, it wasn't the wrong call to put him at fullback. I think Fitzgibbon's gone, you know what? I underappreciated how important Hines is to that.
Yep.
Because I think if there's one thing we learnt last week from the Sharkies is Hines is their guy. Like, he's absolutely their guy.
Yeah. Well, he was questioned about that, Craig Fitzgibbon.
Yeah,
after the match, he was asked, he said, was that a mistake putting him at fullback? And he just said, look, he's played there before. He's played fullback before and played well.
Really well.
It didn't work today.
Yeah, fair.
So, he put his hand up and said it didn't work today. I put him there because he's shown that he's a very good fullback. He's played some really good games of footy against quality opposition in that position before. Didn't happen today for us.
And you know what? It's very easy in hindsight to go, it was a mistake. Whereas before the game, all evidence would suggest Hines is an incredible fullback. You know what I'm saying? So very easy for us in hindsight. Now, the Gold Coast Titans.
Yep.
Where do you see them at? They get the win on the weekend. The boys seem super excited. What I loved about the Titans' performance was their energy. They came out from the get-go with a plan and they nailed it.
Yeah.
How do you think they're going to go this week?
Well, there's no secret. You need to have energy in this game. Playing at this level. If you're any chance of winning footy games, you need to play with energy and you need to bring it early in the matches. Just snuck home, Golden Point. I'd like to see him go on with it. They need to put together more than one win. They just need to. But I agree with you from the point of view where you said they looked happy, and I think there's a group of guys in there that are pretty sort of close, away from footy as well. They hang out a lot. I think a couple of them live together, so they're pretty good mates, and they just looked really happy with. Like Jaden Campbell being back in the lineup.
He brought energy, didn't he?
Took a lot of pressure off AJ Brimson going back into that half. It's where they prepared
all season,
all the preseason. And Justin Holbrook said as much after the game. Before the Magic round, I think the spine that they had prepared all preseason to play with have played only a game and a half together this year.
Wow.
I think that's right. They only played a game and a half together all season.
Wow.
Through various different things. I'm guessing it's mostly injury.
Yeah.
But that was a full game that they played together, and they look pretty good. So it's a big game Sunday Arvo. It's up at Seabus on the Gold Coast. A little bit of rain around. I've heard something different for the Gold Coast this year. My goodness.
Wow.
So maybe that just helps the Gold Coast Titans a little bit and sort of takes away from that attacking flair that we've seen from the Sharkies this year, particularly with Nico Hines at 7.
Yeah. Look, it's going to be interesting. I personally, I think the Sharkies are in for a big game.
You reckon they're
Yeah,
specials?
big game.
Specials, okay.
I think they're coming in for a big game. Although I would love to see the Titans get up. I think Sharkies are going to be filthy. If there's one thing that Fitzgibbon seems to have brought to the Sharks, it's not accepting inconsistency.
Yes.
It's not accepting and saying, oh, we're going really well this year. Give ourselves a pat on the back. It doesn't seem like that at all.
And before we just go to our break, a couple of big matches in those last two games. Josh Papali'i, 250 NRL games for the Raiders.
Congratulations, big fella.
Right under Josh. And Andrew Fafita set to play his 200th.
The big fella. How good. Also earlier, Clint Gutherson, 150 games.
Gutho.
The king.
150.
The king of the West. Mate, 150
games.
Seems
like he's been around for twice as long.
Yeah, I know. You're totally right. Like Gutho,
it seems that way.
It seems that way. Absolutely. I think earlier in his career he had like injuries the first few years.
Yes, okay.
And that's probably why he hasn't got up to 200 yet. Yep. Anyway, we're going to head to the break and get to more of your texts and calls. So make sure to call and text in, and we'll see you on the other side. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with the great Cameron Smith. We got some texts here, Smithy. Hey boys, diehard doggy supporter here. Just want to hear your thoughts on potential impact the Fox could have if he was moved to number one. With the type of leadership and enthusiasm he brings to the team, I think it would be a good move with him in the middle of the park and having the ability to float around. Keep up the good work, Dylan.
Oh, I think the Foxies floated that idea of playing fullback, but I just think he's a winger. He's a world-class winger.
Yeah.
I think that's his best position. It's his best position for a footy side. He can bring that enthusiasm from playing on an edge.
Yeah.
It's more, the most important part of his enthusiasm is the day-to-day stuff around training, getting the boys up and being around them, which was, a vital part of what we did in Melbourne, when the Fox was there.
Yeah. From
2017 onwards.
Yeah.
Until he moved on. But I think from a football point of view, I think his best position in that footy side will be on the wing.
Yeah, I tend to agree, as well as I think, look at the Cowboys, for example. The Cowboys had Hamiso, and Hamiso was playing some great footy. But I would say, they're similar-ish in their incredible lightning speed. And then they put Scott Drinkwater back at fullback, who's a ball player. And then just points just open up for the Cowboys.
Yep.
And I think with Fox that, I understand where you're coming from, where you're saying you want Fox around the middle, getting his hands on the ball, but he can do that from the wing. We've seen over the last couple of years with guys like Tom Trbojevic moving in from the centre, supporting through the middle. So I understand where you're coming from, but I think you can have the best of both worlds in today's game, where the certain wingers come in and hang around the ball. A wide running forward pushes out, and then a centre pushes out to the wing to cover that wing position. I think in today's game, it's best to have a fullback that can ball play.
Yep. We got another one here, Kempy, and this goes back to the Magic Round that we spoke about earlier in the show. Morning, Goat and Beak. What about this for an idea for the 17th team for Magic Round? Why doesn't the premiers of the Queensland Cup in 2022 play the 17th team next year in Magic Round? Cheers, Dino from the Gong. What do you reckon about that one?
Mate, you know what? I absolutely love it. And also, I'll take it a step further. I would say the premiers of the match where Queensland Cup and New South Wales Cup play.
Oh, the national championship.
Yeah, the national champion, just to include, obviously New South Wales Cup, because otherwise New South Wales Cup would be like, hang on a sec.
Yeah, no, that's a good one.
Yeah, so whoever wins that match where, let's say it's Burleigh Bears versus Newtown or whatever, whoever wins that match that year before plays I love the idea. I think it's great.
Yeah, throw them in.
Mate,
and then a team doesn't miss out.
A team doesn't miss out. It's an extra game of footy. Maybe you put it on a Thursday night.
Yep.
And it doesn't really count towards anything like points-wise, but it may be a good way for
exhibition game.
Exhibition kind of, but also give talent a bigger stage to be on,
yes.
People recruiting.
Yes.
Outside of that, maybe, we look to put a representative team in there for a exhibition game, like a one of the island Pacific Nations team or something like that. But I love the idea, mate. Absolutely love the idea. After the break, we're going to head to a break. After the break, we're going to wrap up the show and share our final tips for Magic Round. Welcome back to the Captain's Run with Cameron Smith. Let's check out also, apologies for the Magic Round. I'm like Ron Burgundy off Anchorman. Whatever is in front of me, I read it. So That was my bad. I read Magic Round that was on the
run sheet.
The run sheet from the producer.
Yep.
But we've got our tips. Let's get to our tips, Smithy. First, Broncos.
Knights.
I'm
going to go Broncos. Too strong tonight.
Tigers, Doggies.
You know what? I'm going to tip the Dogs.
Okay.
They're gonna lift.
Bounce back. Eels, Seagulls.
Parramatta, too strong at home.
Dragons, Warriors.
Dragons.
Cowboys, Storm.
Storm in this is going to be one of the best games of the round.
Wow, I like it. I like it. Roosters, Panthers.
I'm going to say Panthers.
Rabbitohs, Raiders.
I'm going to go Raiders back-to-back victories.
Titans, Sharks.
Titans upsetting Sharks at home.
Wow, there we are done and dusted. Another episode. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. You can download our show on Apple and Spotify, and we'll see you next week.